It's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. I want to tell you tonight, I came to minister to somebody, and your present situation is not your final destination. I've seen your future, and somebody just shout loud. Let me hear y'all say it. Sometimes you gotta say it until you feel it. It don't always look good, but you gotta say it until you get it. Y'all do me a favor tonight. Lean over and tell somebody, sing it to them. Let me hear y'all say it. Say it, say it. It's gonna get better. Tell somebody tonight. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what your neighbor dealing with. But tell somebody. All right, fellas. It's gonna get better. Fellas, come on. Tell this. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're going through, put your trust in Jesus. I know you will see. Can somebody wave your hand real big tonight and say if he did it before, he'll do it some more? Some of y'all ain't waving in the back. I don't see y'all. Come on, tell them over here. Tell us. Whatever it is you face, whatever it is you face. We ain't got a whole lot of time, but tell them right now that. I know he will make it. I know he will make it. I know he will make it. Now he will make it. He done it too many times. He done it too many times. I know he gonna turn it around. I know he gonna pay your bill. I know he gonna hear your body. I know he will make it. I get a witness that tries to lie. Put your trust, put your trust in the Lord, and believe God. So I don't understand it, but tell me this tonight. Put your trust in Jesus. Put your trust in Jesus. Put your trust in Jesus. Anybody can trust in Him. I put my trust in the one that heals, in the one that saves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was just a little bit to encourage you. Things are going to get better. That's the name of that song by Pastor Skylar Patterson and Predestined. One of the hottest songs that there is out there today. Whatever you're going through, things are going to get better. And we thought that song was appropriate tonight because our topic tonight is going to be stress. How do you handle stress? What do you do when you get depressed? What do you do? What do you do when you get depressed? What do you do? So, what we're going to do, we'll give you just a little bit more of that. We'll take some commercials and then we'll bring on our guests tonight. If you know anybody that's being challenged, anybody that's going through, anybody that's stressed out, anybody who's a little depressed, then you tell them this is the show for them on tonight. We'll be back in a moment. If you know it's getting better, we're going to make one big clock and we're going this way. Say it's going and it's off. For you. Yes, sir. Say it's going to get better. For you. I'm trying and I know that he will. He'll make it all right. For you. I'm starting to feel pretty good. So it's going to get better. For you. I need y'all to help me do it tonight. So it's going to get better. For you. Whatever it is. Going through. Can we give a piano? For me at the time. God's going to make a way. Sometimes people out can stay. Whatever the time. God's going to wipe the tears. I just want you to know that things are going to get better. I just feel that somebody needs to know that. Somebody needs to know that what you're going through, things are going to get better. It's not going to be like this always. Okay, let us tell you about this right here. We got some things with announcements and public service things that we have before you. And we say thank you so very much for patronizing our sponsors. And now we're going to try to add this beautiful lady to the screen. Let me tell you something. We have a show, not just a show, but we have a show today that everybody can identify with one time or another. Everybody has been stressed at one time. You may not be now, but at one time in life, you have been stressed. You may not be now, but one time in your life, you have been a little down, a little depressed. Well, we are here tonight to give you some answers. We are here tonight to try to I did it again, to try to help you through those times. And we got so many people on here tonight. And as always, Dr. McDonald, I have forgot to turn on my comments, and I got 61 comments.
Oh,
So
wow.
to those of you who have commented, as always, what I do, I can't comment on each one. So I just put them up on the screen to acknowledge them, and everybody will see their responses. If it's something pressing other than a comment, then I'll do this right here, and that means we need to address it. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
let's this show tonight, we got people from Alabama, Georgia, all parts of South Carolina, Mississippi, it just all parts. And
Awesome.
this is something that we need
Mhm.
on tonight. So I want you to introduce yourself to them, because I want you to tell them what you do,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
tell them, and while you're doing that introduction, I'm going to be listening, but I'm going to be putting their comments up on the board as well.
Okay. Um, First of all, Miss Loretta, I have to say thank you. It is such an honor to be here, to be with your community, and to have the opportunity to share. I'm Dr.
Mhm.
Juanita Britt McDonald, founder, executive director of the Rediscover Me Women Initiative, the Rediscover Me Facebook community, and the Mental Health Elevation Room on Clubhouse. We have been in our inception was in 2016 while I was in college, working on with my change in leadership and human behavior. And in the midst of all of that, we established Rediscover Me, and then it changed to Rediscover Me Women Initiative. And so the uniqueness about us, which is our mission, is to engage, educate, and inspire change for which a woman or teen girl survivor affected by abuse, trauma, or mental health can rediscover the me she strives to be. And we do that based off of our three pillars of lost identity plus lost self-esteem equals lost purpose and direction. And so applying that, I personally have done a lot of internship. I'm certified as a suicide prevention specialist. I'm certified as a mental health advocate. I'm also certified as a victim service provider for the state of South Carolina, and so on and so on, especially NOVA. I'm certified through NOVA with our military and all. And so that was just recently. So we're nationwide. Our community stretch not just here in South Carolina, but we are nationwide. And I do a lot of training in those areas, especially in the faith-based community. We've been working with community leaders, going in, helping them on how to communicate suicide to their congregation, what to look for, things such as that. And so we are excited about all the things that we have the pleasure of doing, and especially being here with you, someone who I have admired from afar for a very long time.
Well, we thank you for taking. We know that you're a very busy lady, but as I go through things myself, and I have to take time to know a person, and I've seen what you do, and we have some people on here tonight that need some answers. Unfortunately, we can't talk to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But I can vouch for this lady right here. She's very professional, very confidential. And if you're needing to talk to someone, she can put you in touch with someone to speak with. We know that people go through things in life, and sometimes we don't know how we get in the things that we're in. We don't know why we have to go through things. We don't know why sometimes it seems like we suffer one thing, just suffering back to back. And all those things are just entangled in us, and people look at us and they think that we're so strong. But it's
Yes.
only the grace of God that we're not walking on the side of the road talking to ourselves. So tell us, what was it that made you get into this field to want to help people?
The it started with my internship, Miss Loretta.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out, which direction was I taking my organization, and I did my internship. And the more I worked in my internship, I began to understand that we were missing something. And so, in the midst of writing a report on Kimberly Crenshaw's intersectionality of a woman,
Mm-hmm.
it really began to help me. So to help you and everyone, your viewers, understand what intersectionality of a woman is,
Mm-hmm.
Kimberly Crenshaw began to look at the systematic structure of our organizations. And in the midst of those structures, the forms are not designed for every woman.
Mm-hmm.
The forms are not designed for every male. So when you look at the dynamics of the Black and the Hispanic culture, there are too many dynamics that go into who we are,
Mm-hmm.
and so we don't fit in a box. And so majority of the time when you're looking at our organizational structure, they may look at you, Miss Loretta Brown, and say, oh, that's a Black woman, but they
Mm-hmm.
take out the fact that Miss Loretta, there's so many other components to her being outside of being a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to really dive deeper into those components, and it's not just the titles. We take
Mm-hmm.
the titles and sit them over here. Let's look at the
Mm-hmm.
dynamics of that individual. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and so when we start breaking that part down, that's the difference. And so, for me, I began to look at that, and as I looked at that, um, I also looked at how were we addressing those issues that majority of us have. And
Wow. Come on
so,
now.
and so when we address those issues, there was a key component, which is our educational factor that was being missed. See, I've heard you over and over talk about your depression,
Mm-hmm.
but not once did I hear you say, my doctor told me this is how my brain function. This is the
Mm-hmm.
degree of what's going on in my mind. And
Mm-hmm.
so I need to take precaution. So with me, I work with people. I just got off the phone with working with a person saying, okay, we got to create a safety plan, a mental safety plan,
Mm-hmm.
and how you function on a day in and day out factor. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's where I begin to create mental safety plan. And I even created this thing called the mental cloud or the trigger cloud. And so it's something that I don't share too quick, and I have out
Mm-hmm.
because it's a prototype. And so this cloud helps me to help those that I work with to be able to pinpoint triggers.
So, in other words, that thing that really trigger us to go off. Oh Lord, help me. Talk to me, sister. Talk to me. Talk to me. Yes, Lord, talk to me.
Yes,
Ooh,
ma'am.
Jesus.
Yes, ma'am. Because how can I address something I don't know what it is?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we become angry and don't know why we're angry,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. You're
Sometimes
right. We can wake up angry.
sometimes, yes, wake up angry. And
Mm-hmm.
something has triggered us. It could have been a bad dream. It could have been, something inside, something, it could have been a smell.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a dream. It could have been a smell. It could have been a touch. It could have been something that set you in a place. Um, it could have been death, believe it or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing COVID, if COVID hasn't taught us anything, the volume of losing loved
Yes.
ones back to back to back, that
Mm-hmm.
sent us into a place that where it was like we were walking around, all of us was walking around holding our breath for a very long
Mm-hmm.
time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And still holding it to a certain
Still
point.
holding it. Mm-hmm.
Still holding it to a certain point. Well, what do we do? What do we do when we know, okay, all of us got some, let's say some family members that every time they trigger us, how do we handle that?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And I'm
Yeah,
saying it,
it's not
and I'm
that we don't love them. It's not that we don't love them, but they
mm-hmm.
some of them that just push that button in us.
Well, I'm going to pull from what you actually came up with something I just physically said. I physically just made this statement. If you do not create barriers, there will always be a form of breach. If you and I do not create barriers, there will always be a form of breach. Now, what I mean by that is, yes, we love our family members. Yes, we know who they are, what they are, but how do they affect you and your mental safety?
Lord have
When you
mercy.
think about your mental safety, what does it do to you? And so that means that, guess what? I might need to tell Uncle Joe, I can't afford to be around you because you're toxic to me. I love you, but you exemplify this, this, and this. And that's a problem for me mentally.
Well, how do 9 times out of 10 they're not going to accept that? They're going to say, "Well, she think
That
he better. He think
that's
he better."
he
They
that
don't want
person
to
has
deal with us.
that's not for me to carry. That's not for you
Wow.
to carry. That's for him to carry.
Oh my goodness.
That means that that means that he has the power. He has your power. You're giving him you're giving him control. He has your power and he's controlling you as to how you function. That's unhealthy.
I hear you. But unfortunately, in reality, now this is me coming with the questions, and I'm putting the comments up there fast as I can put them up there, and people saying you're so right. It's not. Sometimes you hate to go to family reunions because you know you're gonna have just that one. You can be having a good time, and it takes just that one to come up and hit that button. And when they hit that button, it's going to either make you feel some kind of way or either you're going to tell them exactly what you think of them. How do we control that? How do we really control that?
Well, that goes right back. You and I have to train people how to treat us. It goes right back to the same statement. In my space, I am a mother of 4 daughters, and anybody that has daughters knows that there are tons of emotions flowing at all times.
Mhm.
And I've had to physically train them. When you walk into my space, you need to have yourself together,
Oh wow.
because I have finally got to a place to where I truly understand what my mental health means. I work with clients that need me to be present.
Mhm.
I am involved in a lot of activities that need me to be present. And
Mhm.
so I can't have emotions pulling me all over the place. And so therefore, you know how we take that deep breath when we about to explode or
Mhm.
transfer our baggage to someone? No, I need you to deal with that breath out there. So when you come in, you can have an intelligent conversation with me, because that's what I need. And that way I can help you. But if you're coming out exploding, I need you to step back, get it together, and then come back into my space, and then I can help you.
Wow. Cheryl put up here, a lot of times people treat you how they treat themselves. Explain that.
Well, what Miss Cheryl, thank you, Cheryl, for that statement. And yes, she's absolutely correct, because um, the ugliness that you see in others is what they're
Mhm.
battling against. And so the moment that I can have the moment that I can transfer my baggage to you, Miss Loretta, then I can walk away and I feel good. So have you ever had someone, we in my field I call it head dumping. I teach my
Mhm.
clients how to head dump. And
Mhm.
so there's good head dumping, there's bad head dumping. And so what I call, when I send it to you, that means I'm transferring my baggage over to
Mhm.
you. And so for me to be able to say, I come up to you, and I've had a bad day at work and people have been all this and that, and I'm coming up and I'm like, but she wasn't nice and she didn't do this. And you're like, Lord, I just got in a good place and here she is again, you know. And so once you sit there and you listen and you bob your head, and in your head you're going, not again, and then by
Mhm.
the time they walk off, you feel heavy, and
Yes,
you feel
yes,
like,
yes.
You
Yes.
you really, your body is spazzing, you got this pressure in your shoulders, your head is hurt. All of this, that's transferable baggage. And so basically you gave somebody a dumping ground so they can move on, and you carrying that mess now. So even down to our children, it's like, oh, mama got it now.
Mm.
Dad got it now. So I can just, they gonna fix that problem. And majority of the time we do. And they're footloose and fancy free. So again, we have to stop and think, to what degree do we take that baggage and give others permission?
Okay, let me ask you this. Suppose you have a person that calls you all the time. Um, and every time they call you, it's a problem. It's a situation, a circumstance. You're dealing with your own problem. You don't want to ignore them because you don't ever know where they are at mentally. How do you how do you tell that person in love, listen, every time you call me, it's a problem. I love you, but you know, do you say I got things I'm dealing with myself, or how do you handle that? To
It all
the
depends
proper
on
way.
it does all depends on the nature of that person and their disability.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that if it's a serious mental health issue, then I need to transfer that individual to someone who can handle that problem. Okay.
Well, suppose that person don't think nothing is wrong with them.
Then if they don't think that there's nothing wrong with that, that's out of your control. You still have to protect you first.
Mm.
But and so in love, we want to be able to say, I've observed that over the past 5 days, you've came to me 4 times. And in the midst of you coming to me 4 times, you have said the same thing over and over and over. And so, and I say over and over and over because I look at patterns. And so that means that there's a deeper issue that needs to be addressed. And it's that deeper
Mhm.
issue that I cannot address with you. So I'm going to recommend, it's up to
Mhm.
you to decide, but I'm going to
Mhm.
recommend, have you ever
Mhm.
thought about, and then, talking to someone or doing whatever. And then after you make that recommendation, then it's okay for you to say, hey, I'm giving you a soft pass, but there's nothing I can do to support you in this outside of listen. But then if I'm listening, that is triggering me. And that creates issues for you.
Dana, I don't quite know what you mean. You say, do you agree with a person that's mentally ill? Explain that a little bit more in detail so Dr. McDonald can answer your question. Okay, go ahead, Dr. McDonald.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah, you and I have to begin to know. It first starts with our safety plan. What is your limitation, or what is your, to what point the does someone getting to you cause you to
Mhm.
burn?
Mhm.
Okay, to what
Mhm.
degree? So once you can define what that is, that's like, okay, this is my boundary. You
Mhm.
can't get this close to me and I'm not going to be affected. So I need you to understand that this is as good as I can, is as much as I can
Mhm.
accept before I have to recommend you. So for
Mhm.
me, because I get calls, and I get calls from people that I'm connected to supporting others, I'll give you up to 3 tries. And if you keep, then it's like, I'm gonna send you to somewhere else, because I can't carry you. There are too many people that are doing the work. There are too many people that are doing the work to get the help that they need, and I need to focus on those who are really ready to work.
Mhm. So explain now. I've told people many times that I go to counseling. I've told people that I take medication. Why do people? Let me see. How do I want to say this? Oh, y'all, that's my dog. Why do people think they say, "Oh, she crazy. She on crazy pills"? I'm not crazy. Now that don't bother me because I
Mhm.
know how much it's helped me. But then I had somebody yesterday tell me I ain't taking no pills. I said, you'd be so much better. Now, it may not be for everybody. I know you're a holistic coach. So there may be another way that they can do that. So explain that to me.
It all depends on the degree of their form of chemical imbalance. that we
Mhm.
have to look at.
Mhm.
And even I have had to take medication to regulate my body. So,
Mhm.
what does that mean? So, I want you guys to understand I'm not, I am very, very holistic. I do not use medication unless it's absolutely necessary. Um, and I have used medication. And for one reason is this, to bring in the reality. We have been taught generationally that there's nothing wrong with us, that
Mhm.
we don't need the help, that we are strong Black women, we're strong Black
Mhm.
men, based on our culture. And that also, we really would have to start looking at this from slavery all the way down to begin to break all of this up. But that's something that we need to change the narrative on. We need to begin to understand that mental health is very important for everyone.
Mhm.
On my session, I had a psychiatrist on our Pantython on Saturday, and she talked about the fact that everybody should have a counselor. Everybody should have a mental health specialist connected to, just like you and I go to the
Mhm.
doctor for our 6 months checkup yearly, our teeth, our breast, prostrate exam. You should also have someone that you talk to, because think about this. First of all, the
Mhm.
volume of stuff that comes on you day in and day out, from your job, from your family, from your bills, from just trying to navigate life, period, that's heavy. That's complete heaviness. And
Mhm.
so you should have someone that you can actually do self checkups with, and that will help guide you in this place. It doesn't mean that you have to be there long, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, the thing that sent me off and to begin to better understand why the medication is happening. Miss Loretta, in 2011, I had to have a hysterectomy. The thing about hysterectomies are not uncommon, but the problem is for women is that we're not getting our estrogen like we supposed to, and so that can throw us off. Mine threw me off. It caused me to have a form of chemical imbalance that had me thinking I wanted to die. I
Mhm.
really wanted to die. And
Mhm.
it was me, because of my faith, that was like, no, we're not killing ourselves. We're not doing all of that. And so I did go to my doctors, and I was like, something is wrong with me. And the reason why I knew something was wrong, because I'm a happy person. I
Mhm.
love people and I'm talking to
Mhm.
everyone. But I was sad, and I would go in my room and just close the door, and I put myself in timeout. So at least I had common sense enough to not spill all of my toxicity over to family members and things. But I would isolate myself, and I would be in darkness. And I kept saying, that's not you. Why are you crying? And so when I went to my doctor, come to find out, because of the surgery, it threw my body off. I had to be on medication. Thank God I only had to take it for 6 months to
Mhm.
regulate my chemical back. Now,
Mhm.
because I knew the dangers of the medication, I took it for that period of time. Then I start
Mhm.
looking more so into the holistic,
Mhm.
and that's why you find me in the holistic state, because I start looking at what do I need to do to keep me in a state of calmness and stillness. What do I
Mhm.
need to do to keep my body regulated? What do to keep the weight down? And so I did intense research in that area. And so even when I'm working with people on a day, I program myself to get outside and exercise 2 times, sometimes 3 times a day. I move. I find something positive, so I have found what works for my body, and that's where I stay at to keep it regulated. Does that make sense?
It does. I got to get this question before I forget it. She said, a person that is mentally ill, when they say stuff and we know it's wrong, do we agree with them?
It all depends on that situation. So I can't certain things I can't say without really knowing more information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so if it is a concern, then I think you should consider seeking
Mm-hmm.
additional help. If
Mm-hmm.
it is a concern, then I think you need to seek additional help. Not saying that that is truly the case. It's just that, it all depends on the person, and without me, um, you know, asking more or seeing more, having more questions, I can't say yes or no to that.
Um, the holistic part. What exactly do you do other than taking medicine?
First of all, I start my day out every day with a 3 mile walk. We have a nice lake up here, so I go to the lake and I come back, and that is generally, unless it's really cold, I don't, I don't go outside then. There's something amazing about air, about the sun, about, and it helps you with that adrenaline area. That's one thing. I control my diet. I am very limited when it comes down to meat. My body doesn't process it anyway, so I don't take a lot of meat in, because for those that are menopausal, there's a chemical in the meats that throws you off. So I don't eat a lot of meat, and so that keep my hormones kind of level again. And I love funny things, so I try to either talk to somebody that's going to make me laugh, or I watch something funny, like an old comedy or something such as that, and that way I'm going to laugh. And I do a couple of forms of breathing exercises that really work for me.
How important is meditation? Spiritual meditation.
Very,
Mm-hmm.
very.
Mm-hmm.
um the and when you and I were talking about this, Miss Loretta, I just kept thinking about, to what degree do you and your audience get the full third stage of sleep, meaning rest, that your body needs, you know?
Um, hold that thought 1 second. Let me do this so I can move it on the screen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because people are ignorant of what mental health is. Mental health is health. You must take care of your mind like you take care of the rest of your body, just what you said. This
Mm-hmm.
country totally disrespects aspects of mental health. It's just not a black thing, it's a country thing. The stigma associated with taking care of your mind is ridiculous and overlooked. They only pay attention to mental health when someone commits certain crimes and how many people are involved. I've been in the field since I graduated. Now, that's powerful.
Yeah, kudos to you, and you're absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
It is a lot of stigma, and this is why we are really fighting against this. But think about it. We don't. It is so prevalent now, to the point that they really started throwing a lot of money at it.
Mm-hmm.
If COVID didn't teach us anything, it taught us the degree of how important our mental health is. It has
Mm-hmm.
shown us the degree of how it's affecting our children, being confined and not
Mm-hmm.
being able to get outside. So yes, it has awakened the reality of this stereotype has to be debunked.
Mm-hmm. How do you deal with people with low self-esteem?
That depends on the degree of to how bad that is. um I always tell people, you can't be around me too long without making some type of changes. I'm a very positive person. I'm a very happy person,
Mm-hmm.
and I do respect that place of low self esteem, because the first thing I'm going to be doing is asking questions, trying to understand
Mm-hmm.
what was the root cause that created that, and
Mm-hmm.
and then encouraging those individuals to begin to experience things that they probably would never ever allow themselves to do. Because the thing that we have to learn about low self-esteem is we have to begin to understand, number one, where did that come from? Was
Mm-hmm.
that something that was programmed into us? Was it their forms of limitations that hinder us? Did we not have the form of affirmations that we need? Meaning, not affirmations as in, going into something that doesn't build you up. I'm referring to affirmations such as, mom and dad, connecting with us, affirming us as their children, or understanding through biblical principles who you are, as it states to the I am. And
Mm-hmm.
are you able to see yourself? Are you able to truly see you as that man, or as that woman, and the uniqueness and the abilities of what you were created to be? And so many
Mm-hmm.
times we don't get that. And so I would be that person who would be encouraging you. And I can say this, Miss Loretta, because I've taken in quite a lot of children and
Mm-hmm.
from bad situations.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment, the place that they started compared to the place where they are at now is a difference between day and night. And so I don't take that lightly. I do know and understand that there are factors that need to be addressed. And so it all depends on what those factors are. And that's why I said, you won't be around me too long without me
Mm-hmm.
encouraging you in some manner.
How important is it for all of us to have that positive person in our life?
Oh, that that's a very good statement, because what you'll find is the majority of the fights that you are up against, Miss Loretta, all of that begins to shift.
Mm-hmm.
When you begin to be around, require, setting up these boundaries, defining your values, your core and spiritual values, and then operating in that uniqueness, of meaning that people that are around you are positive pushers. They're people that are doing great things. They're people that can encourage you. They're not dumping on you, and not saying that they don't have a bad day, not saying that they, because we can't be this positive person all the time. I'm not that positive person all the time. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
that when you find yourself being uh unleveled, you automatically do this form of self-evaluation, and you define, like, like you've heard me say over and over since I've been here: root cause. Okay, what caused this? Why am I sad? Why, yesterday I was feeling real good. What transpired between yesterday and today? So you're immediately going into this place of evaluation. And so when you're evaluating yourself, or you should be evaluating yourself, you're finding out, is it me and something I've done, or is it something that somebody has transferred to me and I need to figure out and get it out? And then how do we get it out? That's the other part
Mm-hmm.
of it. How do we get it out? You know, and so if it's something that you've been dealing with for a long time, that would be something we would have to break down outside of this interview.
Okay. Evangelist Staley said, did you say that you tell your children to not take up my space? Just explain that again, she said.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I know all four of my daughters, and I know how they I know their spirits, their energy, and how they deal with difficult situations.
Mm-hmm.
And so because my office is here, they'll walk through the office, and their energy come through the office, through the door before they do. And so therefore when they come through, and if they're bringing that, then I stop them at the door. I don't even allow them to come into my space until they get themselves together. And so majority of the time my head is down and my finger go up. They already know what that means.
What that
Does,
mean?
does that don't come in here?
Suppose they're in a position where they really need to talk.
Well, that's the part that they identified before.
Mm-hmm.
That we still have to get you in a place to where I can hear you. I need to be able to hear you. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need to be able to hear the emotions. I need to hear you. And
Mm-hmm.
so part of that is my training. Okay, part of that is a training, because I have to break through the emotions. And
Mm-hmm.
so to get you to, so before I can even hear your discussion, I have to get you calm in a place to
Mm-hmm.
where you can talk to me, where you can
Mm-hmm.
articulate where you're at and what that made you feel like. But if
Mm-hmm.
you are emotional, then I can't hear you.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle people that when you have troublemakers that's always trying to make somebody else look good and themselves look, I mean, trying to make themselves look good and that person look bad. That person don't like themselves, do they?
There's some issues down there. And sometimes, that's one of those double barrel guns that we have to kind of deal with on the sidebar. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of meaning there's a lot of components to it. But
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that I'm looking for, or if I'm having to deal with someone in that position, I want to know, what can, if I've exhausted every means,
Mm-hmm.
then I have to decide that it goes to that value place. To what value do I need to you to be in my space?
Mm-hmm.
And will that, does that take away from me, the unique person? Okay. Or, what? I really have to evaluate it for me. That's my safety plan.
Um, you have a lot of people that it's always somebody else and never them. It's always somebody else. It's never them. Are they trying to hide the fact that they don't like themselves?
That could be a combination of things, but the biggest thing that pops in my mind is learned behavior. We have to take a look at learned behavior. How did you handle, how were you taught responsibility? How were you taught
Mm,
responsibility? Were you uh always had a form of scapegoat? Is that your the narcissist behavior? Is there's several different factors that we have to really look into. But the biggest thing that I'm going to want to know is this a form of learned behavior that you've acquired over the years? And this is because sometimes we operate in limited belief and don't even realize that we're doing and saying certain things because
mhm,
it's become so programmed into us that we
mhm,
operate on unconsciously.
mhm. Nothing is as important in loving yourself, because when you love yourself, you're gonna love yourself whether you're fat, whether you're skinny, whether you're light skinned, whether you're dark skinned, whether you have pimples on your face like me or smooth skin. You're gonna love yourself for who you are. You have
Yes.
some people that can't even stand to look at themselves in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
We got some
Absolutely.
hikers on here. I'm gonna block them, but I'm gonna block
Mm-hmm.
them.
It's
But
okay.
let's see. But they just don't. They can't look in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
because they don't like themselves. They don't like what they see. They want to
Absolutely.
be somebody that they're not.
That mirror is so it is so revealing if done the correct way,
Mm-hmm.
Miss Loretta. I can and again that still goes to um what have that person been up against? What is
Mm-hmm.
put them in that place, and how long have they been um fighting self, I guess you can say, that
Mm-hmm.
emotional state of being as self sabotage, the emotional space of self sabotage. How long have they been in that place? Um, and you said it when you stated that when you really have taken the time, and that's to learn about you and the uniqueness of yourself and how to operate it. It is exactly what you said. You can't be in a place of sadness. You don't receive. See, it's like what the from a biblical perspective of darkness cannot operate in light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you're operating in light and love and goodness and positivity, um,
Mm-hmm.
all of that other stuff can't even penetrate you. But
Mm-hmm.
see, you can't operate in those things until you begin to know who you are.
Come on now, work that out. You got to know who you are
You got
first.
to know who you
Got
are,
to
and
know who you are.
and majority of the time we haven't even done the work to begin to learn who we are. And so you can't say that you and I'm gonna and I give your viewing audience a test on this here. One of the things that I do with all of my clients, the very first thing when I'm talking to them, I take away their crutch. If you can have a 5-minute conversation without bringing in your sons, your daughters, your husbands, your house, your job, your clothes, your nails, your makeup, your hair, or your weave, or whatever. If you can have this conversation without bringing anything in, any form of crutch, and let me put the star up here that is our favorite go to. And if you can have a conversation without bringing God in it, then you are there. Because what the biggest thing with all of us is when if I were to ask you, Miss Loretta, if I were to say, Miss Loretta, talking about your depression, I want you to go out and take a 5-minute walk every day and And I want you to, after you take that 5 minute walk, I want you to sit in quietness and do this. If I tell you that, and then you come back and you thinking like, I don't like to walk. And so then you're gonna start talking about, okay, I started to walk, but then I had to deal with a dog, or I had to deal with so and so. You're making all these excuses, and then all of
Mhm.
a sudden you're trying to put scripture on it, and you
Mhm.
have that go-to script. Everybody has their go-to scripture that they
Mhm.
pull out, and we hold on to it, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like, it doesn't take us long to talk ourselves out of.
Mhm.
And so that is really the kicker, when you cannot sit here and identify. When somebody asks me, Juanita, who are you? And the first thing I tell them, I am a transformative servant leader. And they're looking at me like, and even in my bio, very seldom do you hear me talk about my family. And one person was like, well, I don't see your family on here. I revised my bio to put my family on there, but they're not the first people I talk about. I talk about me first.
All right. If okay, some people will take that and say, okay, you're talking about yourself all the time. You're all into yourself. That's not necessary. Listen, I
Miss
can talk
Loretta, let
about
me ask you
myself
something. Let
for
me ask you
11.
something, Let me ask you something,
Uh-huh.
Miss Loretta.
Okay.
What's your favorite restaurant, Miss Loretta?
Between Red Lobster and Ruby Tuesday,
What do you order from Red Lobster?
I'm gonna order some crab legs.
How do you like your crab legs? Um, how do you like them prepared, Miss Loretta?
It don't make no difference just since I get them. It don't make
But
no difference.
what if they deliver shrimp to your table instead of your crab legs?
Scripts.
Shrimp. What if they deliver shrimp instead of your crab legs?
I'm gonna say that's not what I ordered.
That's not what I ordered. That's not what I want. This is what I want. This is how I want it. And this is how I need it prepared. So, is that meaning, if your food has to be prepared and brought to you a certain way, does that mean that you are all that because you
No,
choose to
no,
have
no,
things a specific way?
no, no. It's what
And it's the
you
same
get
thing.
what
And
you
it's the
pay for.
Absolutely. And it's and
Yeah.
this and me and this body and the woman that I was created to be is so valuable. She is so valuable that I need to invest in her, and I need to make certain that things are aligned with who she
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
Because see, this is the thing. If I can't tell you, if I can't tell me and show me who I am, then I can't tell you how to treat me.
Mhm.
I'm going to allow you to do whatever you choose to do to me. And so many times we have operated in that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that made plenty of sense. I'm listening to everything you're saying. I'm just blocking these hikers. That's all.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
block, begging people for money. So that's what I'm doing. Um, but I love me, and I often tell this story, and I hope this helps somebody. They ask me, why do I take so many pictures? And I said, because there was a time I didn't want to take any because I didn't love me. But when I got to the point where I learned to love Loretta Coleman, fat, bad skin, and all, can't nobody tell me I'm not nobody, because I know I am. But I was 33 years old when I finally came to that reality that I'm somebody and somebody loves me just like I am. I was 33 years old.
Hmm. And do you know the amazing thing about, once you begin to realize that and walk in it, then immediately people begin to receive you because you glowed in it. You
Mhm.
showed in it. And I love your hats. I'm like, "Oh, she is just so stylish."
Well, see, now let me bring this home. There would have been a time, Dr. McDonald, I wouldn't have worn my hats because I would have said, well, what is she gonna think? What is he gonna think? I don't care what they think now. And see, that's not being arrogant. It's just
That's not
confidence in who
arrogant.
I
That's
am.
not arrogant. It's a difference when you are operating in confidence. It's the difference. And the biggest thing, think about this, Miss Loretta. And I and this is what changed me. I began to look at the fact that God created this amazing woman. To what degree am I dimming his light when I don't show up in the original and unique specimen that he created?
Let me ask you this. I hear you, but let me ask you that. Let me read this comment and then I'm going to ask you this. She said she was in the habit of attempting to fix people's problem, but 2020 taught me how much I absorb people problem, carrying stress, unnecessary. Now I immediately pray for people and let them go.
Good for you, Miss Webster. Good for you.
Um, Now I forgot what I was getting ready to say. What was I getting ready
It'll
to say?
come back. It'll
Okay,
come back. We were talking about your hats and
yeah,
and
I wouldn't be this big if during my depressed time, food was my comfort during
mm-hmm,
my depressed time.
mm-hmm,
So although I'm losing, I can't lose it overnight. What it took years to put on.
right.
But food was my go-to. When I would get upset, I just go and I would just eat and I would just eat
Mm-hmm,
food and spending money that I didn't have at that time.
mm-hmm,
Because I wanted to be loved by everybody and I wanted everybody to
mm-hmm,
love me. So I did things that I couldn't afford to do during that time now, during that time. And I did things that I couldn't afford to do because I wanted to be loved and I wanted to be accepted. How many people are listening tonight that make sacrifices that they can't afford because they want to be accepted and they want to be loved?
mm.
Wanting
Yeah.
love in all of the wrong places,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
loving other people more than you love yourself.
Ooh, yes, ma'am.
Never neglect yourself. Never, never neglect yourself.
That is so important.
Whew. Somebody said, ask her, is it normal for a mental health person to read all the time?
I can't say that that it's not normal because there's a lot of people that love to read. If they, I have children and grandchildren that they love to read, so
Mhm.
I can't say that.
Mhm.
It I can't say answer that one. Sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna talk about me a little bit. It's gonna be humorous, but it's the truth. Now I can pretty much handle most things, but when you lie on me, it's like dynamite is in the inside, and I have to literally talk to myself. Let it go, Loretta. Or I got two friends that I can talk to. Um, but I have to really talk to myself and say, let it go, Loretta. It's not worth it, Loretta. And I have to take about 2 days for me to get over it. But see, don't lie on me. Don't lie on me and then pretend to be my friend. Don't do that. That does something to me. Because you could just, if I do something you don't like, just tell me. I don't like that. It's nothing wrong with telling somebody. I have people tell me they don't like me in wigs. I said, thank you much, but I love it. See, it's okay to express your opinion, but express it to me and not to nobody else, because that's what
Mhm.
gets me. And see, sometimes I know that that's why I have anxiety, because I hold that stuff in. Now, Dr. McDonald, I got you on here for help tonight. Now, you tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel real good when I can really tell them, I know what you did. But when the
um,
Lord say, don't say nothing, Loretta, I got this. When the Lord say, I said, Lord, please let me let them know that I know. I got this, Loretta. And then, oh God, I really have a time suffering through it because I be wanting to let them know, I know what you did.
I understand, Miss Loretta. I understand. But we have to go way back and try to find out where did that start from, Miss Loretta.
Oh, I'm a carbon copy of my daddy. I'm a carbon copy of my daddy. My daddy would tell you exactly what was on his mind.
No, it's not that. It's like, okay, the lie, when it just really get to you where you ready to scratch somebody's eyes out because they did it. It's like, okay, where did that come from now? We want to but
But
you know.
I'm just
But
being
I understand. I
real.
get it though. I
I'm
get it. I
being
get it.
real. And then
Yeah,
I go into a shell. I say, well, I ain't gonna trust nobody.
yeah.
You understand what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, and I, even though we laughing about it, and it is
Mm,
very serious. I don't take it
mhm,
for a joke,
mhm,
and and I agree. I understand, and it's just one of those things that it didn't just start. It's
mhm,
something that has been there, and
mhm,
so managing it. I'm not saying control. I'm saying
mhm,
manage, um,
mhm,
because there are certain things you want to learn how to manage and not
mhm,
have it controlling you.
mhm,
And so I can't tell you that you're going to get rid of it, but you have to begin to understand or define to what degree is that
mhm,
really important to you.
mhm,
And it's very important to you. We know that it's very
mhm,
important to you. But I like the fact that you said I can't control them, and you can't.
mhm,
But
mhm,
you can, something you can do is you can walk in your truth. I don't have to
mhm,
prove. This is the
mhm,
thing, Miss Loretta, and I look at you and I look at myself. You and I have been out here. You have been out here longer than I have.
mhm,
Everybody know Miss Loretta. You don't even have to walk in a room and announce yourself. People know who you are. And so to have to prove yourself, you don't have to. And I call that wasted energy. If I have to explain myself, that's wasting my energy.
well,
That's
mm,
wasting your energy.
I hear you.
And
I'm gonna read. I'm gonna attempt to read what she got because she piggyback on what I said. Sometimes it's hard for me to bite my tongue. I have uncontrollable urges to tell people exactly what I think.
Mhm.
Help us, Lord. We need your help tonight.
I want to let me show you what that stress does to your brain, okay? And why you have to figure out which battles are worth fighting and which battles aren't.
Mm,
One of the most amazing things that I learned, and I can't remember exactly where I was in this training, and I can't quote the doctor who formulated this, so please forgive me. But when you look at your brain and you begin to observe the volume of stress that your brain carry, when when you have headaches, it's because your brain is swelling, it's increasing from all the volumes of stress and pain and suffering that you're going through. So over time, your brain begin to look like little crater holes in there. Based
mm,
on study, it takes about 7 days for your brain to heal from all of that. So if it's taking that length of time for your brain to begin to heal, but every day you're holding on to toxic, unnecessary stress, then you're putting more and more pressure and damage onto your brain. So just as much as getting out, exercising, walking, getting that fresh air has one of those mechanisms that truly helps harmonize your chemical imbalance, bring you down and not, so yes, some things you're going to have to train yourself, and eventually
mhm,
you'll get to a place where you don't hold on to that. But you have to start the process of first identifying what is valuable, what deserves my time and my attention, and what doesn't. What is what are my boundaries in this particular area? And if I am I holding on things because this is a learned behavior? Am I holding on things because this is a learned behavior, or and this is how I fought for so many years? Or is this something that I can release? Because see, this could
bingo.
be
You just said it.
a
You just said it. You just helped me. Cause see, I had to protect myself all these years.
Well, that's why I said, Miss Loretta. I started. I said, Miss Loretta, we need to get to the root cause. This goes way back, Miss Loretta.
I had to protect myself. I had to protect myself all
Hmm.
these years.
Right.
And I was gonna get you before you got me.
Yeah. See, you don't have to do that no more.
Oh, this has been good right here. This has been good right here. You hear me? So I don't
Mhm.
have to tell people off anymore.
Mm.
I don't have to let people know what I think anymore. I just do what I do and just go ahead on.
I'm gonna give you a word, Miss Loretta, for
Uh-huh.
you to for you, and only your viewers gonna know what this word mean. So when
Hmm.
you around people, I want you to just say "saubona."
What?
Saubona. Saubona.
You're gonna have to text it to me or something.
All right.
What that mean?
This word mean this is an African proverb that mean I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
Well, you definitely got to send that word to me, and I'm gonna put it on my Facebook page for other people to use it too. I'm gonna put it out there for other people to use too.
Saubona means I see you. But from an African perspective, they look at it and use this word as I see your personality, I see your
Mhm.
humanity, I see your dignity, and I see your respect.
Mhm.
But I also see the opposite. I also see the opposite. So Saubona can be
Mhm.
used in either way. I see
Mhm.
you. It just means I see you.
Mhm.
And you don't have, in that way, that's a safe word for you to use and not carry,
Mhm.
you know? That's a
Mhm.
safe word for you to use and not carry and not allow the anger to give you need to be able to say because your program is like in that imprint. So because mentally it is programmed and you really need to say it, I want you to just change your word to Saubona.
Okay, I can do that. I
Hmm.
can do that. I want to be better. I want to be better. You know, can you answer that, lady? Because I can't answer that. I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Well, she had breast cancer and she believed that it developed from stress, but it still took 6 years. What is that? FOT? I don't know what FOT stands for. Um, when you say breast cancer, there are a lot of factors that go into that again. We got to look at family history. We have to look at if now the study is coming out and they're beginning to talk more and more about the degree of women developing breast cancer if they drink, behind alcohol intake. And so it's not one that I can answer, so I can't say. And I can't say that stress. I haven't came across anything that talked about the degree of stress that leads to breast cancer. But alcohol and family heredity are the two biggest factors.
Well, stress can cause sickness in your body.
Yes, it can cause sickness in your body. Absolutely, it begins
Hmm.
to affect your organs, your
Hmm.
blood pressure. Yes,
You
not
can have
saying
a
that it
heart attack
doesn't.
from stress, can't you?
Yes, not saying that it doesn't cause your body to break down. Not saying that,
Mm.
just being able to say, let me give you a statistic or quote someone so that individual can say, yes, this is, I can pinpoint it here, here, and here. So that's what I'm referring to.
She said 6 years for her to
Family
recognize
history.
it's
No
no
serious.
family history, no
Okay.
serious health problems, no alcohol.
Okay. And it could just be isolated, Miss Webster. I'm not saying that it isn't.
Hmm.
I'm just saying that study is what I'm referring
Hmm.
to. So that way I can give you evidence to say
Hmm.
based on this that I can't say that I know anything such as that.
Um, we have talked about a lot of things tonight. We couldn't solve all the problems tonight, but the bottom line, there's a lot of people hurting.
Hmm.
In your words, explain to them. I know we talked about it earlier, but I wanted to really hit home. Let me read. Let me see what this. Let me see. I'm gonna read this, and then the question I want you to ask is the importance of counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
Plus, in Black families, you are taught to be seen and not to be heard as a child, and you get slapped in the mouth. You couldn't voice your opinion as a child. Your mind was made up for you. So, as an adult, I became very mouthy, and a way of relieving stress was for venting and voicing my opinion. Now, at 64 years old, I'm just learning how not to stress myself about that.
Good for you. Very good. Very good. You're absolutely right. Um, we were, and I say we. I did. I'm 65 in that 65 age, so I'm on both sides of the
Are
spectrum.
you?
I'm not 65 years old.
Oh,
I was
oh,
born
okay.
in 65, so
Oh,
I'm on
okay.
both sides of the spectrum.
Mm.
I am 57,
Oh,
and
okay.
so so you're absolutely right. Basically, what she just described is the degree of how we, going back to what I shared about the power, our voice is a form of power.
Mhm,
And it's important that we learn how to deliver our voice.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
that plays into the area of when it's not used correctly, then it
mhm,
it go it is it's exemplified in what she just said, that stress is increased when we're
mhm,
using our voice outside of our voice position. And
mhm,
so when you think about it, when you look at the larynx, everybody's larynx is made just alike. It's designed, and we have air
mhm,
that flows through, but
mhm,
nobody makes the same sound,
mhm,
right? That's very unique. But the
mhm,
crazy part about it is, um, when it's not used, and it's
mhm,
we have to elevate like a singer. I can't sing. I come
mhm,
from a family of
mhm,
singers, and
mhm,
but if I got in there, I'm straining my larynx. But I can talk and I can deliver and I can be on a stage, and I can just talk, and it never affects my throat. So when I'm using it outside, then I'm straining it. So it's the
mhm,
same thing when we are making our point, when we're fighting battles, when we're going to a level that is outside of who we are, then it causes portions of us to operate outside of the normal, and that creates forms of stress. Does that make
mhm.
sense to everybody? I hope.
Yes, yeah. I have a chemical imbalance.
Mm-hmm.
I got that when I had my surgeries, and they said they gave me too much anesthesia that left me that way, or something like that. As long as I take my medicine, I'm good. I mean, I'm good. I'm Loretta. But if I take that medicine, if I don't take that medicine for one day, I might cry. The least little thing will make me cry. The least little thing will make me irritable. And I just can't understand how people tell people not to take the medicine. I've been on mine since 2015. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
I just don't understand why people want to tell people not to do it. Now, if you believe that holistic is the way and it's helping you, that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But don't tell nobody not take their medicine because it'll make you crazy. Cause ain't nothing crazy about me.
You are so right, Miss Loretta. The thing that
Uh-huh.
I would hope that people will take from this is that you may not want, the biggest responsibility everybody have is to find out what works with their body.
Mm-hmm.
That's your responsibility. You and I have to find out what works with our body. We
Mm-hmm.
both described how a form of surgery threw our body off,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And because our body was thrown off, we had to find out what did we need to do to get it
Mm-hmm.
back into realignment. And
Mm-hmm.
so you found what works for you, I found what works for me. And
Mm-hmm.
if I wake up
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and all the things that I normally do doesn't work, I only give myself 3 days to get it back in check. I give myself three
Mm-hmm.
days. If I have a
Mm-hmm.
headache, I'm only going to allow that headache to linger for 3 days, and then I'm going to the doctor. Okay, I've had this headache 3 days. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do? So
Mm-hmm.
and I've learned to self-regulate this body so much that I know when something is shifting. And so
Mhm.
if you're not observant of your body, and majority of women, I'm not taking it from the men, but majority of women, our eyes are on our children and their full agenda. Our eyes are on our job. Our eyes are on the house. Our eyes are everywhere but on us. So when something do happen, then
Mhm.
years later we're like, oh my, I did, if I had have known this, if I, I did feel this pain, I did hear, but we ignore it. We don't go to our doctors for our regular checkups like we supposed
Mhm.
to do. We don't take the medication. We do, and
Mhm.
then next thing you know, you got multiple issues. It's similar to a car. If the first moment you hear that ticking in that car, if you don't stop and deal with that ticking, it's going to lead to other issues, and it's going to cost you
Mhm.
more money
Mhm.
down the
Mhm.
line. So yes, it's
Mhm.
important to have,
Mhm.
the most important thing that you can do is visit your doctor.
Mhm.
Visit your doctor. And that means all doctors. You go for
Mhm.
your teeth, you go for your physical, you need to have your mental
Mhm.
and anything else that keep coming in.
Mhm. When I go and I talk to my psychiatrist, I feel like I'm walking on feathers when I come out of there. Because number one, they know how to get things out of you. They know how to relate to what you say. And I just feel good because I don't have a lot of trust for people because I've been betrayed. I love people. Let me say this. I love people and I love dealing with people. But I got insurance. I'd rather go sit and talk to a psychiatrist, a godly psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing like laying on no couch, like no, it's just conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And they are trained to hear what you're not saying. And I just want to appeal to somebody. Now let me say this to those of you who may go, and the first time you go and they may give you some medicine that make you feel like crap. It made me feel like crap the first. It took them 5 times to get it right for me, Dr. McDonald.
Mm-hmm.
And now they got me on. When they got me on the right one, I ain't had no more problem. But at first it was rough. But
Yes.
I kept telling them that's too strong. I don't need that. I need something else. And see, a lot of people, that's where they stop at. They get
Mm-hmm.
it for the first time. They sound like the way it made me feel. Well, tell the doctor how it made you feel and let them give you something else that's different.
Yes.
Because if you quit there and then you go and tell somebody else, I ain't like that medicine. That made medicine. You were on the wrong medicine. It wasn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, took 5 times for me. 5 times.
Mm-hmm. And I can understand that,
Yeah.
because think about it. They're human, and they're trying to learn what works with your body.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm working with somebody, I'm learning them. I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning how they think, what are those things that push their button. And so, and
Mm-hmm.
as I'm learning, I'm also teaching and training them. And
Mm-hmm.
so the biggest thing, if you notice, everything that we talked about dealt with reprogramming you mentally.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. You got to think about the volume of years that stuff has went in, and the volume of years that you've operated in yourself, in your ways. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a form of reprogramming that has to
Mm-hmm.
take place. And
Mm-hmm.
so, in closing, I want you to understand that this brain is a gigantic computer. It is designed to receive information. But if
Mm-hmm.
something happens, such as if you go into PTSD, shock, trauma, whatever, the brain does not, it knows to protect you, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't know when you're in a safe place. What you're hearing from Miss Loretta and me is that the brain went into a protective mode. And
Mm-hmm.
it felt the body hurting. It knew that Miss Loretta wasn't acting like she normally
Mm-hmm.
does. And so when it did, it was like, ah, let's protect her, protect her, protect her.
Mm-hmm.
And so now what she's doing is she has to tell the brain, hey, I'm safe. Hey, that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
bother me anymore. And so
Mm-hmm.
in order for her to get the brain to release, she has to operate in what you hear me saying, the positivity. She has to operate in the good for a long
Mm-hmm.
period of time to reprogram that impact that she's
Mm-hmm.
been through.
Mm-hmm. Man, this was good. I'm gonna have to get you on again. This right here was hot. if somebody needs some help, is there any way? I don't know if you can type in a comment and tell them, or maybe they can go by you. Tell them how can they get help. There's hotlines everywhere.
There are multiple hotlines, and I did not pull that information, so I apologize for that. But what I can do is I'll go back on your page and I'll put all of that information on there if you don't mind. And please forgive
Oh,
me. I
that's
just
fine.
went.
And then let me know when you did it, and I'll pin it. I'll pin
Yes,
it up
ma'am.
for
I'll do that. I went from working with a client to jumping on here, so I do humbly
you.
apologize. And
Mhm,
and I'll put all of that for your mental
mhm,
health on there. You can actually, as a matter of fact, one of the let me see what is Psychology Today.
mhm,
Psychologytoday.org is one, or
mhm,
.com.
mhm,
Psychologytoday. You can actually put in,
mhm,
and I'll pull that and put it on your page.
mhm,
That person
mhm,
can go online, type that
mhm,
in, type their area, break everything down,
mhm,
and they'll match them
mhm.
to a representative that can work with them in their area.
Amen. That's good. Elaine, keep on going. Don't give up. You say you on number 3. I had to go to 5. Don't give up, because you will never know. And I'm not being cocky now, but you will never know I take medicine. You will never
It
know.
feel it feel it feel good when your body regulated like it's
Yeah,
supposed to.
it feel really good.
Hmm.
Really good. And don't, y'all out there, don't let nobody tell you that there's not help for you. 9 times out of 10, people that commit suicide have medicine to take, but they won't take it because of something that somebody told them. You don't need to take that. Believe God. God do this. Yeah, God can do it. But until he do it, you take your medicine. Until he manifests the healing, you take your medicine. Ain't that right?
That is absolutely correct. You do
Yeah.
your job and let God do his.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I want people to be helped, and I want people to be knowledgeable. And
Hmm.
they ask me, and then we're gonna go off. They tease me about my wigs, they tease me about my hat. But see, you might see me come on here next week with a blue wig on. The point of that statement just right there is, if somebody would have said to me, you don't need to wear no blue wig, I wouldn't go and get me a blue wig, because I care more about what they thought than what I
Hmm.
wanted,
Hmm.
because I didn't love me, and I valued other people's opinion and didn't value mine. But now you might see me come on here with dreadlock wig on next week, because I'm appreciating life, and I'm learning
Hmm.
how to embrace change, and I'm learning how me wearing an orange wig ain't gonna keep nobody out of heaven. Our thought pattern is off. and
Yes.
and 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 we, well, anyway, that's a whole nother discussion. But I want to say thank you so much. This has been valuable. Don't forget to put the information
I
in there,
will. I'll put it in there.
to help the people who may want to reach out to someone. And to all of you that are listening, if you know somebody who's suffering, have them to listen to this, not for views, but it may very well save their life. um Yeah, Dina, and you would never know. You would never know. But we just want you all to be better. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Let's do something about what we know. We
Absolutely.
didn't hear this tonight just to be hearing it. There's a reason. If it's not for you, it may be for a family member, maybe for a coworker, maybe for a friend, and then you can give them some answers. And we want to thank those of you who were on tonight. As always, you helped make this broadcast what it was. Always know that you are somebody, and don't let anybody make you feel inferior. If somebody tell you you're nobody, you said, I don't believe that, because I was made in God's image. And if I'm made in God's image, that means I'm somebody. Hello.
Amen.
Woo! Yes. If you are made in his image, that means you are somebody. So don't let nobody tell you that you are nobody, because you are somebody, and you are loved, and God is concerned about you, and so are we. Everybody have a blessed one.
Good
Thank you
night,
so much.
everyone.
All right.